Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Lunch and Learn. I'm Lauren Anderson with the International Franchise Association, and we have a great 30 minutes lined up for you. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that we are recording today's webinar, and we'll make it available later this evening on franchise.org. If you have any questions for today's speakers, please add them to the Q&A box and they will be addressed toward the end. Today's topic is National Social Isn't Enough. Why Local Social Drives Real Franchise Growth, and it is brought to us by Consumer Fusion. Here to provide today's discussion is Gulish and Elle, DeLaura. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to Consumer Fusion for sponsoring today's Lunch and Learn. I'll go ahead and turn things over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lauren. As she mentioned, we're really excited to be hosting the Lunch and Learn webinar today through IFA. The topic we're going to be covering is National Social Isn't Enough, Why Local Social Drives Real Franchise Growth. As Lauren mentioned, my name is Gulish. I'm the Vice President of Business Development here at Consumer Fusion. Been with the company now for around 8 years, based out here in San Diego. So I'll be the one kind of taking you through. I also am joined by Elle from Voda. I'll let her kind of quickly introduce herself as well.
Yeah, thanks, Zan. Thanks for having me on today. My name's Elle DeLaura. I am the marketing coordinator here at Voda Cleaning and Restoration. Quick background in case you're not familiar with who we are. We're a cleaning and restoration franchise. We currently have 113 owners in 33 different states, and we're really growing every day. I've been with Voda for a little over a year now, and I run our social media program for both our corporate channels as well as our franchise partner channels. So I'm super excited to deep dive into the social topic with you today, Zan, and I'll let you kick things off.
Perfect. Yeah, I wanted to bring Elle in too because, yeah, like she mentioned, she actually does the social every day for Voda. And so wanted to speak about the national versus local content and have someone in here that actually deals with this. Quick, a little bit more information here on us for Consumer Fusion before we get started on today's topic. We do 3 main products that we work with here: online reputation management, social media, local SEO, and directories. We are really excited as of last year to partner with the IFA and be the preferred vendor. In these product categories, we work with 100 plus franchise brands, so very eclectic across many industries. So the topic for today, the local social blind spot, we're going to talk about why having just a national social account isn't enough and why you should be posting frequently at the local level at your actual franchisees and franchise locations. So what we're actually going to learn today, we are going to learn that the role that social media plays in local discovery and how it builds trust with your actual customers, why local activity often influences decisions more than just a national visibility. How do we get them further down that funnel? What high-performing brands are doing locally, such as Voda, and they'll speak to their experiences, strategies for driving meaningful local engagement, what's working and what doesn't, and then just overall systems that can help this scale. So let's get into it. So I have a quick video here that's really going to set the state for us that kind of speaks to the shift in social and how different generations kind of use this. So I'll let the video play. Let me know, Elle or Lauren, if this isn't playing for sound.
How to master social media SEO in 2026. Right now, someone is searching for exactly what you offer, but they're not just typing it into Google. They're typing it into Instagram, TikTok, or even YouTube. Instagram processes 6.5 billion searches daily. YouTube, they handle 3.5 billion searches daily. For Gen Z, TikTok has also already overtaken Google for product questions and how-tos. Most people still think SEO starts with Google, but today, the real battle for visibility happens on social media long before anyone opens a browser. Social platforms have quietly become the primary search engine for billions of people. If you're not optimizing for that shift, you're invisible in the moments that matter the most.
Perfect. And that kind of sets the stage for what we'll be talking about today is how certain generations search versus others is going to change. There's more content out there than ever, more competition. So how do we stand out in our local markets, not just nationally? So having a strong national presence is obviously important. It's very much top of the funnel, having that brand awareness. But I see a lot of brands that they will have one national social account that they post from, and then they do nothing at the local level, whether that's having a local Instagram, a local Facebook page, right? This is how you identify with your community and start ranking in these areas. So the reality is right now, customers are going to experience you locally. Customers, a lot of times, they don't engage with national branded accounts. What they want to look for is to find locations that are near them, by them in a good proximity, and that are putting out this type of content. So the result, what happens whenever we have just a national account versus something that's getting done locally, having individual Facebook pages for each of our franchisees or Instagrams, right? What this gap creates is there's not a lot of local awareness, right? Find me the best service near me. There could be weak engagement where you're not getting a lot of involvement on your national page. And that's definitely not happening in your local markets where your franchisees are located. This results in that missed opportunities and ultimately reduced visibility for your hyper local search. All of your franchisees want to be showing up anytime someone types in, best weather mechanic near me, best home service near me, best pediatrician near me. How do these businesses show up? So we won't just want to think about awareness engagement, but how do we actually get them to conversion? And the best way to do that is local social pages. So this is speaking to that, how this customer journey is local and it's not national. So one of the major parts in the customer journey is going to be social media. We've all probably done a search as far as near me, find me the best pizza shop near me, right? Customers are actively searching for businesses based on location and proximity, not just a brand. The same is true whether it's for Google search, ChatGPT, or any of these other AI search algorithms. The number one results they do is to make sure you're reputable online and they have a near me behavior. So speaking to that, that's a good way to do this through local social. Real-time decision-making, customers are making decisions faster than ever. So whenever they go on your pages, they're going to decide to go with you or not. And they're doing this on multiple platforms. So they're not just relying on one channel, right? Many generations now are going to go to Instagram. They're going to go to TikTok. They're going to go to Facebook. And the more hyper-local relevant you are, the more likely you are to get chosen. So these are really good stats for everyone to have. And once again, this will be shared with you. So I always like to use these as reference. So we know that 76% of consumers have purchased a product after seeing it on social media. So not only showing it on your Google, business profile, but then also if it's listed out in your social, it will up that conversion likelihood. 54% of social users research products on social platforms before buying. So over half of your consumers, they're going to look on social as well before deciding to work with you. 78% of consumers say social media impacts their decision. And then 46% of consumers say they're more likely to visit a local business if it has a social presence. I want to emphasize, visit a local business. Having just a national brand page doesn't make you a local business in these communities. This is going to talk to the generational behavior. So I've referred to this a couple times now, but this will break down how each of these generations are doing search and what they want to see. So not shocking, Gen Z, 40+% use TikTok or Instagram to do search instead of Google. And over 80% of them are actually discovering new brands on social. So your Gen Z category, if that's your ID, your ICP, you're going to know this is where we need to be showing up is TikTok and Instagram. Millennials do 54% of their research on products and services on social before purchasing. So even the millennial generation, they're going to still validate on social. So once again, having those local markets is going to be really important. And then last but not least is going to be more of the Gen X and Boomer generation. They're still relying heavily on Google and Facebook, but Facebook does remain their top platform for local business engagement. So all of this is to say, just having one national account may not be the best idea for your brand. So what do customers actually look for right now? They want to see what's happening near me. So they want to see that your location is active right now in their hyperlocal area. I always say we want this to happen and rank by zip code, not by a certain, county or state. We want to be ranking hyperlocally in our zip codes. Customers are going to look for freshness as a signal of reliability. So this will be recent activity. When was your last post? When were your last response to comments? Community involvement. So they want to feel like your business is part of the local community. Are you guys maybe sponsoring little league teams? Are you showing up to your farmers market? Are you at your summer parades and festivals that are going on? These are great ways, right, that you have opportunities to share this. If your franchisees are already doing this, now let's put this on our social sites so people can start to align and connect with our business. And then last but not least, they want to see that you're real people, sharing your team's photos, telling about them, that they're dog lovers or whatever it might be. Customers want to know who they're interacting with. So ultimately, this is what local social is going to drive, right? It gets us visibility. We start to build trust. We get engagement from customers, and that ultimately results, in a customer doing business with us, which will increase revenue, AUV, and that's always good for our system, good for our franchisees. So overall, this is kind of an overview of what local social will impact. So for the local visibility piece, this is going to affect where your social profile ranks in search. Once again, these algorithms are awarding when you're doing local social. So content supports this discoverability. You're going to help get more customer engagement. So you're going to build familiarity before your first business or for that customer's first visit. And this will also help create that stickiness or that repeat interaction. The trust and decision making, active pages will signal credibility. If you're not posting anything, dormant pages will create doubt. They'll be unsure if a business is open, or you're not going to show up in those rankings when people are doing search. Then last but not least, we're all about increasing the AUV. So more engagement results in more visits, results in more revenue. Customers will spend 20 to 40% more with brands that are engaging, not only on social, but with your reviews and other things. Social is going to obviously play a huge, huge part in this. So why is this happening? These are some of the local social challenges that we see causing disconnect with franchise brands. So where does this break down? So franchisees not knowing what to post. A lot of times franchisees come into businesses to operate. They are not marketers. They are not social people. So expecting them to know what content to post, what's allowed and not allowed, how to make things relevant locally, they're not going to know how to do that. The second layer of this is franchisees might not have the time. They're focused on operating and running a business, dealing with staff issues, managing customers, right? So social media is not going to be their priority. So how can we make it easy for them? This falls right into they might not have tools or an easy way to execute. So even if they want to post, there may not be a centralized platform to do this. There may not be an easy way for them to create content, and they don't have any way to measure metrics. So even if they are posting, what's actually working for them and what's not. And then last but not least is there's no structure or system. So let's say they do want to post, having some sort of posting cadence they can align to, having a content calendar or a content library, they can go access stuff, right? So having a process that makes it really simple to either post on behalf of them locally or encouraging them and making it really easy for them to do this. These are great ways to set that up for success. So having said all of this, the brands that solve this are going to win. So this is where I am going to bring in our local expert, Elle, and she's going to speak a lot on what they're doing with Voda, what they've seen working, doesn't work, and everything in between, and how this hyper-local approach is really set up for them. So I'm going to kick it over to Elle, and I'm going to be her slideshow attendant here. So also just let me know as you're ready to move through.
Perfect. Thanks, San. Yeah, I did my intro, but super excited to show how we at Voda balance our, national social media while also still empowering our owners and giving them all the tools that they need to consistently show up and execute at the local level. So we can move ahead. So first, I like the snapshot. It shows side by side, kind of highlighting the difference between the national content that we make for our owners or the corporate content versus what's expected from our owners themselves. So I post on all of our owners' channels about 4 times a week. They all have unique channels to all of their locations to make sure that, they can start building a presence within their local communities. But the posts that I'm putting out, they're very generic. It's before and afters. They're very branded, they're very templated, and they follow all the brand guidelines. But really, we like to focus on the local content that they put out because ultimately that's what's going to build the connection within all of their communities. So we want to make sure that our owners are showcasing their team and what's happening locally and behind the scene within all of their unique markets. Another downside of us posting nationally for all of them is we can't target their specific markets. So we can't use specific hashtags to their different cities or zip codes, or again, if they're going to some sort of local engagement, we can't use that hashtag for them. So that's why we encourage them to post. People aren't interacting with Voda based on the post that I'm doing. It's more based on what our owners are putting out there, and they're connecting with the owners and the people behind it all. So then right here, just for a visual, on the right-hand side, you'll see those are examples of what I'm posting on behalf of all of our owners to their pages. So again, it's branded, it's very pretty, but we like to stress the importance of the local content. So having images of their team members or the promotions that they're running, or really anything that's unique to their own territories, we want to make sure that they're showcasing on their own unique pages. Now, like Zan said, a lot of people aren't super familiar with social media. Some of our owners have come in and mentioned they don't even have social media channels of their own. So they commonly come with a "what do I post" question. And these are our answers. I want to highlight a couple of them. Some of them that we really push are before and after photos or videos, specifically with the service lines that our owners are offering, with carpet cleaning, upholstery cleaning, tile and grout, things like that. People like to see that transition of the dirt to the clean. Another one is to highlight reviews that they're getting. These are free testimonials the customers have left on their pages, whether it's on Google or through some other service provider. But these are free testimonials for them to post on their pages and showcase the hard work that they're doing and build that social proof within their local communities that way. And then finally, the last one I want to highlight on here is for them to recognize their employees and post them on their pages. With a home service business where, our owners and their employees are entering people's homes, it's a very vulnerable thing for people to, have these outside people come into their homes. So I really think anytime they can be posting images of themselves and their team, it's just going to build a little bit of familiarity. That way, before hopefully our owners or anyone are entering the customer's home, they just feel safe and secure with who's entering. Then at Voda, as an entire system, we have this idea that all of our owners are mayor of the towns. So, just for a little backstory, this just means that they're absolute go-getters. They're out there building relationships, they're active within their communities. And I will say, all of our owners do this. They are constantly out there, conversing with people within their community, and they do really all these amazing things. So, one thing that we really stress is that they showcase this then on their social media channels and to take images and post it on their channels. That way, again, they're already putting in all this hard work. So, why not showcase it with their local community around them? So, this is just a specific owner, wanted to highlight him. He does a great job of posting events or posting images of events that he's at, as well as highlighting his team with on his page. So, this is kind of a good snapshot of what we hope it to look like. Then within a franchise system, you have a lot of owners with a lot of different backgrounds. So there has to be a way to operationalize it and make it easy for everyone. The first thing that we do for marketing, we have an in-person training. We call it Voda University for all of our owners prior to them opening their business. So this is where they deep dive into everything operations, but also they have a huge chunk of time to spend with us on the marketing team and review our brand and our guidelines. So we actually equip all of our owners with a PDF that has our font, our color codes, even some simple verbiage that they can be using to hopefully help guide them with posting and make them feel a little bit more comfortable with it. We also then have templates that are available for our owners who may not be as social media savvy. They can go in there, put the images that they want to see, and it'll create a nice Voda template. But then we also like to stress the importance that not every single image that they're posting needs to have this pretty template to it. It's just important that they're posting in the first place. So if that means that they're snapping a picture of their booth set up somewhere and just posting it as is, that's way more important than not posting at all. But ultimately, with all of this, it's important to make sure that you have a good system in place for your owners that makes it stress-free. And for us, that is Consumer Fusion in their dashboard. So all of our owners are set up with unique social media accounts. Consumer Fusion sets them up with an Instagram and a Facebook account, and then it's theirs to manage. So again, I post on their behalf just to make sure that they have fresh content going out, but we want to make sure that they're still posting locally. So this just gives them an easy way to manage all of the content that they're capturing and to come into this dashboard and post it out to all platforms with one click versus having to go into each platform individually. So one thing we do just to make sure that our owners are super comfortable with the platform is during that Voda University in-person training, we actually have them practice posting an image while we're in person with them. That way, they're getting familiar with the dashboard from day one, and hopefully then down the road, they don't have that fear of opening up this dashboard and not knowing what to do. Another thing that we like to do during this Voda University is showcase the reporting and the insights that are available on the platform because I think as our owners start to post more on their own, They have more data to track. And I think it actually becomes a little bit of an internal motivation when they can start to see their engagement rates increasing over time. Then for Voda, what a good social looks like, it's going to mean different to everyone. But for us, it's really a combination of all of these things mentioned on the slide here. So again, showcasing the team, showing off any specials that they're running, and any community engagements that they're doing. One thing I really like to stress to our owners is for them to showcase educational content on there. So all of our owners, they're licensed, they're certified, they're really experts in the industry of, cleaning and restoration. So I like to prioritize and show them that they have knowledge that is valuable to the customers on their pages. And this is going to help with building trust with their customers. So I think any type of educational content is really great for them to post as well. But really, we just want their pages to be unique to all of them and showcase the culture that they've built, as well as just showing the behind the scenes day-to-day operations of them. So that way, when a customer comes to their page, again, they just feel familiar with that owner and their team. Now, what not to do. I think the biggest thing that we stress to our owners is we want them to post their own content and to not only rely on the content that I'm posting on their behalf. We also want them to steer away from any stock imagery or just taking random images off the internet. They're all out there doing these amazing jobs and amazing work and capturing all these images of their own. So they certainly have images that they can use that we don't want them to be taking any off the internet. Another thing is just to be consistent with it. Sometimes, they'll feel inspired, they'll post a couple of times and then maybe they get busy again. So again, this is where just making sure you have a good system in place that's hassle-free and give them all the tools that they need that hopefully then they're able to post consistently. And then one other thing that's super important is we want to make sure that our owners are engaging with comments and messages. I've found that a lot of our owners will get messages about our services, or just about other topics. And so we know that on the social networks, it's important to engage with those and not leave those unread or unresponded. So we do stress the importance of that as well. But ultimately, we're preparing our owners for where things are headed. As Zan mentioned in the beginning of this webinar, things are changing of how people search. So that is why it's so important that our owners are showing up locally. That way they're showing up on the pages of those people who live around them. And really being active online and consistent with their content, that's going to directly impact their visibility on these platforms. And really, we found in all areas of marketing right now that AI wants active accounts and fresh data. So anytime that we can make sure that they're staying active and showing their real-time activity on their pages, we know that it's going to rank them better than them not doing that on a local level.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Elle. And we are going to start fielding some questions here in just a minute. And I have a couple of questions for Elle based off what she went through. But the key takeaways we wanted to get to is that customers are going to discover you and decide now whether or not to use you at a local level. If you have a great national presence, like I said, that gets them down to the top of the funnel. But ultimately, how you get them to conversion and as part of your system as an actual paying customer, right? That happens a lot of times at the local level. Social is going to be part of the decision-making process. We saw different ways that generations use this. Inactive locations could mean missed visibility and missed revenue. And then the brands that are actually active locally are going to win. You can imagine, right? You want all of your franchisees to be crushing it in your local communities, to be, standing out, the mayor of the town, the way that Elle puts it, right? So how can we set them up for success in doing so? I did kind of have a couple questions here for you, Al, based off what you've seen. So I was curious for you, like, how do you set up more specific social content, like at a national versus local level? I know you guys are more in like the cleaning and restoration. So is there like emergencies or things you guys do? So I'm curious about how you think about like the national versus local and setting that up.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, just this past fall with hurricane season, and there were a couple large storms that affected, a handful of our owners, but not everyone. So, gets a little tricky from time to time when creating content when it's not going to apply to the entire system. So what we do at Voda, we'll create some flyers and we'll create some graphics and give it to those owners of who it applies to. That way they can take those content or that content that we're creating for them, post it out on their channels and really showcase that they're there and ready to help. But then on top of that, we encourage them to still make content of their own because what we're creating isn't going to have their emergency phone numbers or their contact information or anything like that on it. So we always encourage them to add their own images that showcase they're readily available for emergencies and really have the idea that they've got their back. And again, just makes it easier for customers to find them and contact them when they take that step further of creating content of their own for those emergencies.
Okay, cool. No, that makes total sense. Like I said, I know that's a little unique maybe to a cleaning and restoration, but each brand can kind of implement this in their own way. I was curious too. I know you pulled up an example of like your St. Augustine and Jacksonville, Florida, a location franchisee who seems to be doing really well. So I was curious from your standpoint, what do you think makes him or her more, I guess him, a more top performing franchisee for you guys on the social piece? Do you notice anything that like separates like your top performers, the lower performers, or anything that kind of stands out there?
Yeah, I would say he does a combination of a couple things. So, the first thing that I've noticed, at least when looking at his page, is he'll make informational videos. So, again, kind of positioning himself as the expert because they really are. They have all these licenses and certifications. So, they have all this knowledge that then is going to gain the customer's trust. And I think those perform very well. And then on top of that, when they're able to create content of their own, they can use those hashtags that are specific to their markets. So if you look at many of his posts, he will hashtag his specific cities, or if he went to a specific community engagement, he'll do hashtags that are specific to that because we know that with social media, they pull in hashtags when deciding where to place different pieces of information on people's feeds. So it just increases the chances of him showing up on local feeds that way, which I think that plays into his top performing.
Mhm.
And then also lastly, he does a lot of videos. And we know that videos definitely outperform just a standard image for a couple of reasons. I'd say one, they get the most reach and visibility. And the reasoning behind that, a lot of the times it actually shows real results or, it's having him talk to the camera and actually talk about things versus just an image, a static image on someone's feed. So we've definitely found that having the combination of the videos on both educational content as well as showcasing the service lines, that's kind of like the ideal situation. And he really does all of that.
Yeah, and I would say too, that's not just unique. Obviously, the data shows that for your guys' brand, but just overall here, all the brands that we work with, I definitely notice video performs well personally for us. So the more video you can put out there, I would just say the better. As a industry standard, no matter what space that you're in, the video is just going to convert, work better, speak more to people. I was curious too. Last kind of question for you: Is there anything that's like that you've noticed for Voda that's kind of surprised you in terms of like what will actually work versus maybe some stuff that's like, hey, I thought that was going to do really well and then it didn't. So curious what you've seen. It's like, wow, that's surprising that worked so well.
Yeah, I guess what I will say is, so again, I post on behalf of all of our owners, and it's very just branded looking content. The second that an owner takes reins of their own channels and starts posting, again, just not even templated images, but just photos of them and their team and showing true faces, that outperforms anything I can post for them. I think
Mhm.
really the reasoning behind that is people love to connect with people. It just feels more personable when you're actually seeing someone on your screen versus maybe a carpet wand or cleaning a couch or something like that. And it just feels more authentic and relatable when you truly see a person on your feed versus what I'm posting on their behalf.
Mhm. Yeah, and I would say too for everyone, it's not like you need to have the highest quality content, have a videographer. Like the more raw that these posts are, the more we actually see them perform. So just having literally an owner talking to a camera and introduce their business or go around introducing their team. It could be something as simple as that. That's unedited. Those honestly perform usually better than something that's professionally done because it seems more authentic and more raw. So I pulled up the chat here too. It doesn't look like there was a lot of questions that came in. It looks like a few people had questions around dashboards that were kind of answered in here. So feel free to enter those in. I know we wrap up here in just a minute, so I wanted to ask Elle a few questions to kind of get us to the 30-minute mark. So if there's any questions, feel free to shoot them in there. I'm not seeing any come in, but other than that, Ken had a question about a dashboard. Can you clarify, Ken? You just said dashboard. How are we setting up like the templating? So generally what we'll do here at Consumer Fusion is we'll have like, so everything through the dashboard, we can have a centralized library. Okay. So you can have access to this where we can have like a unique library to your brand and just a general library. So what I mean by that, for like a general library, we could have like a Happy April Fool's Day or St. Patrick's Day that came up, where it's much more generic, just kind of set up to have those templated posts. Where for our unique kind of the content that's more personalized for your brand. So like Voda, for instance, we have all their finished jobs, right? They're all uploaded through a Dropbox. So all their franchisees can have access to that. So what's nice is through the system, if franchisees want to post over what Elle's doing for them, posting already 4 times a week, they can go in and select specific content either out of that general library, the custom content library. So the custom content obviously will need to be more stuff that's provided to the platform, but where if you take photos of jobs, have your franchisees do that, or you're getting anything done professionally, we can have all of that uploaded and live centrally under one roof in the dashboard. So I appreciate the question, Ken and Michael. Any other questions to address, guys? Awesome. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining here the webinar today. Especially shout out to Elle. I thought that was really insightful and a lot of good information that hopefully we can take away from. So thanks so much, for joining. Lauren, I don't know if there's anything else you need to chime in with, but if not, we can kind of wrap up. And just thank you again, everyone. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
Sam,
so
for having
much.
me on today.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This was excellent content and excellent feedback from all of you. We really do appreciate it. Again, this webinar was recorded and along with the presentation deck will appear on our website early this evening. You'll be able to find that at franchise.org. Thank you very much again to Zan and Elle and the Consumer Fusion team for sponsoring today's webinar. And again, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Everyone, bye.